So our next speaker is going to be Pallavi from Salesforce, who is going to explore what AI knows about the DNS with some very interesting surprises, and I think you're going to enjoy this. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pallavi, and I'm going to talk about generative AI and DNS, and how, as the DNS community, we can own the narrative. So, for the agenda, I'm going to divide the talk into two parts: generative AI and DNS. I'm going to set some context and then talk about the experiment that I did with Gen AI tools. And then I'm going to talk about how we can own the narrative with the conclusion and the proposed solution. Um, this was supposed to be a moving GIF, but it is not. Uh, DNS protocol knowledge is kind of distributed in IETF documents. It's in mailing lists. It's in blogs like Cloudflare's. It is in research papers that are published in various avenues. But a lot of that knowledge is sort of concentrated in minds of people in this room, the DNS community. And what I have seen is, as you like this ripple effect, as the knowledge is concentrated in a small set of people, it kind of thins out as you move away from the DNS community more into, like, teams that are service owners and organizations that are service owners. So, what are some of the use cases for which non DNS people might be using DNS? So, sometimes teams are asked to prove domain ownership for cert issuance. They might be asked to put a TXT record for Google sites and that sort of thing. Sometimes somebody might want to do, like, brand V or some of those sites that offer you ability to set your own website, set an email campaign. They might be using emails and setting up MX records. So, a lot of use cases for which non DNS people might be using DNS. But everybody wants to understand what they are being asked to do, what they are supposed to do. So, what do they do? Where do they go if they don't understand what they're asked to do? Where do they go to understand what is the DNS record or what they're asked to do? Many a times previously, they used to go to Google, go through the links, click the links, and find out information. But nowadays, they go to ChatGPT. So, ChatGPT is a Gen AI tool. Basically, what Gen AI tools do is they create new information, new text, new information based on knowledge that they possess, because it's a predefined sort of transformer. So it uses knowledge base that it possesses at that time and generates information using it. Sort of, if you ask somebody a direction of where to go somewhere, if they know it, they tell you. If they don't know it, it would be good if they tell you that I don't know. But if they tell you take two rights, one left, and that sort of thing, you kind of end up somewhere wrong. So sometimes Gen AI does that. So my experiment is to see if do Gen AI tools give you correct answer or not. So in the experiment, what I do is I selected a couple of Gen AI tools, and I asked the Gen AI tools three questions, DNS related questions of increasing difficulty, and then we kind of verify those answers with the knowledge that we have. So the tools that I selected for my research experiment are ChatGPT and Meta AI. There are other tools also, but I wanted to. I have a short 10 minutes presentation, so I couldn't go through all of them. But these are the tools. These are kind of famous. This is where I have heard people say, "Okay, this is where I went to find my answer," and that's why I chose these two. So these are the three questions that I'm going to ask both the Gen AI tools, and let's see what we see in the answers. So let's jump to the first question. And I'm sorry, I'm assuming certain DNS knowledge because I'm talking to the OARC folks. So I, uh, I'm not going into the details of some of these. But can CNAME be added to Zone Apex? That is the first question I'm asking the tools. Let's see if they get the answers correct. I have taken screenshots directly from the tool, and I have put the pertaining section here and then just highlighted what makes sense so that it's not too much strain for you to watch. I hope people back there can see it. But basically, if you just focus on the highlighted section, not try to read the whole thing, what you can see is ChatGPT got the answer correct. It's saying that zone CNAME cannot be added to zone apex. Let's see what Meta AI got. So Meta AI also got the answer correct. It's saying that CNAMEs cannot be added to zone apex. So yeah, the AI tools got the answer correct, and CNAMEs cannot be created at zone apex. My second question is, how do wildcards resolve DNS query? And as you can see, ChatGPT got it wrong because it's saying star.example.com cannot resolve or cannot match to foo.bar.example.com. Let's see what Meta AI got. So in this case, Meta AI also got the answer wrong, where Meta AI says if you are trying to resolve DNS queries, wildcard record matches only to one level of subdomain. And I'm going to hurry a little bit because I have a few minutes left. But Meta AI also got the answer wrong. I have kept compare it with reality. So what I did was I created a wildcard DNS CNAME record, and the experiment here I'm showing that the wildcard CNAME record is able to resolve multi-level CNAME. So it can resolve label 3 and all that. So the reality is AI tools got the answer wrong. They said wildcard DNS records cannot, okay, because we know that wildcard DNS records can resolve multi-label subdomains. So this is a third question that I'm asking, which is of increasing difficulty. How do you specify CAA record for a FQDN? CAA records are basically records that will allow a domain holder to say that I allow only these certificate authorities to issue a certificate for my domain name. And the reason why I'm asking this third question is it kind of going to go into my proposed solution. So as you can see, ChatGPT got it wrong. It's saying you have to create a wildcard CAA record pointing to the certificate issuer, which is wrong. Let's see if Meta AI got it correct. Meta AI also got it wrong. It's again showing that you have to create a wildcard CAA record pointing to the issuer. If you see RFC 8659, it clearly states that if you want to specify the CA for a FQDN or a star.fqdn, which is the wildcard record, you just have to look at the FQDN, you don't need to create a wildcard FQDN. So if you go into the details of the RFC, it clearly states that. So the AI tools got this answer wrong. So now we'll go into the conclusion and the own the narrative part of thing, where we know, and from these examples we can see that Gen AI tools don't always get the answer correct, and they cannot be trusted or they cannot be consistent. So the proposed solution is a DNS chat tool using retrieval augmented generation. And I'll talk about that a little bit. I like the camel there because of DNS camel. So what is retrieval augmented generation? Retrieval augmented generation is a way to tell the AI tools that, hey, don't think of an answer within your knowledge base. Here's a knowledge base that I'm providing to you. Take my knowledge base and find the answers within the knowledge base that I am giving to you. So that's retrieval augmented generation, a complicated name, but it's called RAG. So to do my proof of concept, what I did was I used Azure OpenAI. I created an Azure OpenAI service. I uploaded the RFC 8659 to the service. And then what I did was I created an Azure Open chatbot, linked it to the service. It's a pricey process, so I didn't do too much of it. So it's just a POC. But I asked the third question again to the new chatbot, where I said, how do you specify a CA record for a wildcard FQDN? So as you can see, this is I did paste the whole answer, but if you just focus on the highlighted section, as you can see, my tool, the POC to which I had uploaded RFC 8659, did not make up the answer. In fact, it pointed to the right section of the RFC, and it even gave me references within the RFC saying that, look at this is where I got the answer from, and gave a sort of dependable answer. So that brings me to the end of my presentation, where I kind of asked the DNS community to sort of own their DNS relative narrative so that people don't do mistakes like your service owners are not putting incorrect requests, are not putting incorrect domains, are not doing wrong things which will affect your infrastructure. So all of us are either operators, researchers, and all of them, but your people who are using your system can do a wrong thing if they do not follow good practices. So my request from this is the next step would be the DNS community and some collaboration with DNS.org to sort of create this tool, own this tool. DNS community verifies the answers so that service owners now have a trustworthy place to go to find their answers. Yeah. Questions?
So thank you, Pallavi. Do we have any questions? Would it be better or worse to leave AI just to be wrong, caveat emptor, so that consumers learn the hard way that really they need to verify what they're told?
I kind of got this idea from an experience where I was working with somebody, and they said I told him, you do dig against maybe 1.1.1 to get an answer, and they said you don't have to do at 1.1.2, the answer just comes up. I said, that's because you have a local resolver. It's like, no, I went on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT told me that you don't have to do add dot 1.1 dot or add something. You just get the answer if you type it on your machine. I'm like, because you have a local resolver, and it takes time. So because then they kind of want to trust ChatGPT because, of course, it's GPT, it's AI. So that's where I got yeah.
Relaying a question from Panit Sutton from the Mattermost. Do you plan to put this somewhere on the internet so people can play with it before committing to actually doing something more with it?
So I tried doing this experiment for the POC, but within days my bill went really high because I was doing personally, and I killed that service because it's way too pricey. That's why the idea of collaboration.
So any solution is actually going to be quite hard or
Pricey.
requires some work.
It may not be hard to do it because we know what documents, what things to put in it. So for RAG, like for retrieval augmented, we kind of can use the knowledge base that we have, straightforward RFC documents and all of those. But to host it, to price it would probably be the cost would probably be the highest factor. Yeah.
Tommy Jensen, Microsoft. Do we have any idea of what the common questions or problem areas are that would allow us to minimize a model trained or to possibly augment a model with a common FAQ? Or is it super wide open?
It will not be super wide open because, at least as a starting point, one can just point it to the IETF documents, all of the RFCs document, the data tracker, so that you have some basic source of knowledge, and then it can be augmented with additional stuff and that sort of thing. Personally, and I may not have done optimally to create the service and that sort of thing, but I think if there are more focus on it, more resources on it, then somebody might be able to do more optimization, because I think the priciest thing is the indexing of the documents. That's super pricey. Yeah.
Ray Bellis, ISC. So we've been considering actually banning large language models from accessing our knowledge base and training on it. Sounds like you're suggesting we should maybe do exactly the opposite.
I think nowadays the people are moving less for large. So large language models are good if you want to write, generic stuff. But I think now I'm hearing a word called small language model, where companies are kind of using their own focus sort of things, so that it it is not wide open, but it has your own private data, or it could be your small knowledge base, very specific to your industry. So industry-based small language model is something that's another word thrown away.
No, thank you.
You can make up words as you go.
Thank you very, very much
Thank you.
again. Thank you.